I think Bitcoin could be on the verge of absolutely exploding off the back of this fresh new on-chain analytics data I want to show you today. It's very similar to what has caused previous bull markets in the past. I'm going to dive into that and more today, including the ANZ Bank here in Australia launching their own stablecoin. What does that mean for Bitcoin? What do we think about central bank stablecoins? I'll give you my thoughts as well as a few other opinions on the crypto sphere on these new central bank delivered and banked stablecoins, as well as Cardano now being on Coinbase. You can now stake Cardano on Coinbase, which is really exciting news. Plus a bunch more other stuff on today's Crypto Daily Show. Hey, I'm your host, Ben from Collective Shift. I'm really excited. I'm super bullish. I want to dive into some on-chain analytics stuff here. Let's dive into it. So Checkmate, our on-chain analyst, posted this to our Collective Shift members this morning. The transition out of a bear and into a bull is a long, slow, and drawn-out process. It is never obvious when you are at the coalface that blue skies lie on the other side of the next grind. On-chain allows us to look ahead and see what might be coming in the future. One of my all-time favorite tweets is this one, which simply claims that given enough time, hodlers will literally buy it all. Now, the difference between crypto and the normal stock market and any other market is that we have a blockchain, which is verifiable and you can see instantly everything that's happening on the network. This data isn't available to other markets. It's not available to the institutions. This data is only available in crypto, and it gives us such an insight and transparent insight into what's going on in the market. Obviously, there's other ways that you can trade, not just on the spot market, derivatives and futures that make it a little bit harder, but on-chain analytics gives us such a huge advantage in being able to see what's upcoming in crypto. Now let's have a look at this chart. This is super exciting. First up, we can see that the supply aged 1 year plus is screaming towards all-time highs. The last time we had this much old school supply held, we initiated a gigapump from 10,000 to 64,000 in a matter of months. Now, I'm not claiming this is going to happen straight away, but it sure paints a neat picture for those with patience. So this is Bitcoin, the percent of supply, the total Bitcoin in circulation, last active 1+ year ago, meaning this is showing us in the orange the amount of Bitcoin that has not moved in more than a year. It is at an all-time high. The last time this happened, it was at just before 2016 bull run, when we ran from 10K to nearly 60K. Absolutely huge. This happened again recently, which went from 10K to 60K, and even back in 2016 when we ran from a few $100s up to a few $1,000s. And it is hit an all-time high in a matter of about 8 months. Super bullish on-chain analysts here. Phase 1 of a bear to bull period is where we see strong hands exit and transfer their heavy bags to the new speculators and punters. So this is what happened at the top of the 2018 bear market when we rose to 20,000. You can see the orange drop off here. That is the holders that held Bitcoin for a long time selling back to the retail punters. We know these people get rinsed, they lose money, and promptly transfer their wealth back to the smart money that gets sold to them in the first place. So in the orange, we are seeing here the smart money sell at the top, give to the new retail investors that don't know what they're doing. Market then capitulates afterwards because you had that healthy market cycle, because you have all these new retail investors that don't know what they're doing. They FOMO in, price goes down, they panic, they sell back to the hodlers, which happened again, and those hodlers have been holding now for more than 1 year at an all-time high level. Phase 2 of this stage is what we appear to be in now. Now, during this phase 2 stage, Checkmate says, is that we do have a dreaded capitulation event that happens in phase 2, which usually is the final flush out. But we may have already seen that already. Irrespective of whether it happens or not, what follows is going to be probably be a bull market for the ages. Will Clemente also tweeted recently, the supply shock ratios. So illiquid supply shock ratio is essentially going vertical, meaning the supply continues to get absorbed by entities with a low statistical history of spending their Bitcoin, meaning the people that do not sell are buying more and more Bitcoin, and it's literally nearly vertical. It appears recent buyers have been a bit smaller in size, with a spike in buy pressure coming from entities with 1 to 10 Bitcoins, the orange line here, over the last 2 weeks. It is going vertical. Hodlers and institutions and the OGs are buying more and more Bitcoin, and the supply is being sucked up and being held by these people. And I think it's only a matter of time before we see Bitcoin really explode. Now, this is super cool. It's actually amazing what's happening here. So in other news, El Salvador's bite-sized volcano Bitcoin bonds. So El Salvador, as you may know, have created Bitcoin as their legal tender. Their economy was going to shit, so they decided to try and spin it up by now accepting Bitcoin as a legal tender, and people in the local economy are using Bitcoin to buy goods and services. And they're doing that because Bitcoin is a clean store of money. It is clean currency. It is a hard asset. It's hard money. El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, won praise from cryptocurrency enthusiasts across the globe last year when he promised to build a tax-free Bitcoin city on the country's coast. And yeah, it's also tax-free. To finance it, he told a crowd of onlookers the government would raise $1 billion via the world's first sovereign blockchain bond with a minimum investment for just $100. This is 100% targeted to Bitcoiners and Bitcoin enthusiasts, and based on that $100 bite size for tradability and appetite in the secondary market. This brings the concept of a bond closer to people. It breaks a lot of paradigms and mental models if this thing works. So what they were trying to do, they're trying to raise money to boost their economy, to build infrastructure. They were going to take a bond with the IMF. The IMF basically said, no, we're not doing that. We don't like you because you're doing Bitcoin. So you know what they said? They said, screw it. We're going to do a bond backed with Bitcoin. So they are basically issuing, I think it's a $1 billion bond to people that want to invest into the local economy and the local El Salvador country. And they're going to use half of that, $500 million for it for infrastructure in the Bitcoin city, and the other $500 million to buy Bitcoin. It's really crazy. The bond already has $1.5 billion in demand and will likely be issued sometime this month or in April. Now you're probably asking, if you're new to finance crypto, what is a bond? A bond effectively is an IOU. So you buy into a bond and you are lending your money, and in return, you're guaranteed a percent yield on that bond. Now I think the bond that they're offering is 6.5%. So you can give your money to this country and they're going to invest it into their local economy, and El Salvador are going to invest it into Bitcoin. And over a 10-year period, for example, I think it's 10 years, they will be giving you back, the people that invest into it, 6.5%. And the world is going bananas. It's honestly pretty astonishing. So soon, I think Bitcoin will continue to become the world reserve currency. I think Bitcoin will continue across countries across the world, continue to build up the appetite for people wanting to buy and own hard money. And no longer do you need to go to governments or the US or the central banks to get money and loans. You can just give it out to anybody, the retail investors, in Bitcoin, and you can invest that Bitcoin into the local economy and into Bitcoin to give back those returns. Basically, Bitcoin is fueling this country, and it's pretty unreal. Now, on the flip side, we've also seen today the ANZ Bank mints its first Australian dollar stablecoin. Now, what does this mean? It's the first Australian stablecoin that has been released by a bank. So one of the big four banks has released this. Rival bank NAB here in Australia has also said that they are looking to launch their own stablecoin by the end of the year. And this is built on Ethereum. They said while ANZ likely takes its time to weigh up its options, they are also discussing putting this based on Hedera. They're looking at the Hedera hash graph as well. Yeah, they're basically saying it is inevitable before the big four banks will also become on and create crypto as well. Now, the ANZ are coming out and saying our customers want to buy digital assets, and seeing a digital Australian dollar minted by a large bank like ANZ will make them confident they can transact with us and use the coin domestically, so they don't have to flip in and out of the USD. Now, again, if you don't know what stablecoins are a type of crypto that are designed to maintain a stable value, and the value is usually pegged to collateralizing asset or a basket of assets. So in this case, the ANZ are backing it by the Australian dollar. Now, Bitcoin versus central bank digital currencies. What does that actually mean? Well, central bank digital currencies are issued by the central bank that enables consumers and businesses to directly interface with it. Right now, businesses and consumers can't directly bank with central banks, but instead through various intermediaries, Bank of Australia, JP Morgan, ANZ, etc. The supposed benefits of a central bank digital currency are that it would decrease transaction and settlement costs, improve distribution of stimulus checks, etc. via the direct access. However, the true intention is a bit more sinister. What these banks inevitably will be able to do with the controlling of these currencies, it would marginally improve the efficiency where the government aren't already efficient, but it will instead continue to extend the control into every single business and personal transaction. And it also continues to extend their power outside of their borders. For example, governments would be able to automatically tax every transaction. Governments would be able to allocate funds away from specific individuals. And governments would have visibility into every transaction and counterparty. This is where freedom goes to die. So we're basically giving up more control by buying these stable coins. We're giving up more transparency, more visibility into what we're doing as consumers. And I don't like that. Bitcoin, for example, the value prop here is even sharper. Bitcoin is not controlled by governments. Bitcoin is controlled by a computer algorithm. We don't have to trust these central banks or these government to make it work. We've trusted them in the past, and what have they done? Well, they've debased the currency. The history of fiat currency is full of breaches of that trust. Banks must be trusted to hold our money and transfer it electronically, but they lend it out in waves of credit bubbles with barely a fraction in reserve. Satoshi Nakamoto spoke about. So banks take our money and they lend it out to others, where Bitcoin doesn't do that. We don't need to trust anyone. Bitcoin is a trustless, decentralized algorithm that allows us to put our money in and we know it works. It is the strongest network in the world, and we know we can trust that. We don't need any individuals or governments to manipulate it. And that's why we like Bitcoin. So what do I think of the stablecoin? Yes, more of these banks are going to launch it because it's easy for them, but they get more control. It's still the same as fiat currency. They get to do what they want with it. Bitcoin is a completely separate value proposition. It is not owned by anyone else, and Bitcoin continues to be bullish and is the freedom out of the rat race. I hope that all made sense. If you have any questions or comments about that, please let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed that. I continue to be more bullish on Bitcoin. There's so many great metrics that are promoting Bitcoin that's going to be hopefully skyrocketing in the next few months or years. If you have any comments or questions about what do you think about this Australian dollar stablecoin, other countries are releasing this, please let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. And as always, I will see you again tomorrow. Thanks and bye for now.